Hey, I am at Jackass Trail here in Truckee. This is the trail I've ridden the most times, so I thought it'd be a fun one to do a comparison between my Ibis Ripmo V2 and my 2016 Transition Smuggler. So I've mentioned this in my other videos, but I am so impressed with how well this bike climbs. I was hesitant for a long time to get a longer travel bike, so I was worried about the climbing, but man, this thing pedals well. Whew. There's quite a few optional uphill rock rolls on this climb. That's the only one I do. But I also usually manage to get kind of lost in the bushes, but that time I did it correctly. So, like I said, this is a trail that I have ridden the most times total, according to Strava, and I fully believe it. But, so, I think it's a really great one to do a comparison on because I've ridden it so many times. I've actually ridden it, I think, on every single one of my bikes. Maybe not my hardtail, but definitely my 2009 GT Sanction, my 2016 Transition Smuggler, and now this is my second time riding it on my Ripmo V2. And I rode it just a few days ago, so it's pretty similar conditions, and I can already say, like, riding it on this bike is the most fun I've had riding this trail in probably a couple of years. I know it's really popular on some quarters of mountain bike internet to be really worried about having too much bike and, you know, oh, if you have too much travel, it's gonna smooth out the trail and make it not fun, and you only need a full suspension bike. You're regularly hitting 6-foot doubles, etc., etc. And I mean, obviously, you can ride a lot on a hardtail, especially with modern geometry and skill, but there are a lot of trails. It's a lot more fun on a full suspension, and even going beyond that, like, this trail is not like hugely technical. I mean, there's some optional big features, but it's one I take newish riders on. That's fun but challenging. There's ride arounds for everything hard, so it's not the hardest trail in the world, but so any trail I ride frequently, I would think that if having too much travel, having too much of an enduro sled, etc., would be an issue, it'd be on this trail. And I just think that's completely false. Like I said, I had more fun riding this trail on this bike than I've had in years. I think because of the stability and how well it rides and the extra suspension doesn't smoothing out and make it boring. It makes me be able to ride things harder, get up in the corners more, take more of the optional features, and just ride more aggressively. So if you're on the fence about potentially going up in suspension and you're worried that it'll make your ride boring, like, I don't know, maybe if you live somewhere flat with trails that like just don't have a ton of interest, that might be an issue. But if you live somewhere with rocky trails or even flow trails, I highly recommend upgrading to a longer suspension, modern geometry bike like the Ripmo. Like that would be doable on my Smuggler, but I would almost always skip that one, especially without like looking at it first. But I trust this bike and what it can do. I haven't got to ride this bike a ton yet, but of the trails I've gone on, literally, I think the only thing I was slower on this bike than my Smuggler was like a road climb, and I was also very out of shape right after my first ride post-COVID. I just want to say thanks again to Paco's, the bike shop that put together this bike for me. I got super lucky. They had one frame in my size, and they were able to scrounge together parts, and they built it up for me and gave me an awesome deal, so really appreciate it. Woo. Maybe someday on that feature. Someday when I'm not riding by myself. Woo. So one exciting thing that they did either like early winter or this spring was redid the bottom of Jackass, and instead of like rocky washout, it's big berms, and it is super fun. So this is not new, I think it's like a couple seasons, trail that takes you back to the parking. And I think it's technically supposed to be both directions, so watch out, but I actually rode up it this time, and there's just so many people going down that I don't know that I'd ride up it again. It's like, I mean, I'd ride up from the road parking, but then there's a little spot where you can ditch onto the fire road, And I would do that honestly, again, because there's like a lot of people coming down at speed and it's not super wide, and everyone was like super polite, but it was just like annoying for me that I had to stop climbing, and annoying for them because it is a fun one to go down. So while it's technically both directions, I think it's more functionally a one-way trail. And like the fire road's awesome to climb up, so recommend that. So right there, you can ditch down to the parking past the gate. They just opened the gate for the season sometime between Wednesday and today, which is Sunday. That was exciting. That was a little like uphill rock roll that I have successfully done many times. But apparently I forgot what line I wanted to take and then tried to change it at the last minute. And then I couldn't unclip and I slowly tipped over into the manzanita bushes. So that might be a hilarious outtake. But now I got my first, I don't know if we can call it a crash, but I'll call it a crash. Got my first crash out of the way on my new Ripmo. But as they say, at least I got that on video.